being Seudat Shabbat. So we've established that you could make Kiddush and make Hamotzi early Shabbat. You could daven, doesn't say make Hamotzi. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that you have to pay attention to, because I exactly said what it does not say in the Gemara. The Gemara says, so you could daven the Shabbos prayer before Shabbat. I'm at the page 5, right? You could make Kiddush as well. What about Hamotzi? We're going to learn in Kiddush Suda, you have to have a Suda right away. So you make a Suda right away. That's fine. But says Sefer Chassidim an interesting thing. You should make sure to daven. Even though you daven Ma'ariv Mibod Yom, even though you made Kiddush Mibod Yom, you have to make sure to eat another kazait after Tzedek Uchavim. And this is very interesting. Why would that be? Right? Why would it be that you have to machmir? Why should you machmir more regarding Sudat Shabbat than Kiddush? L'chora Kiddush is the thing that's really doraita. Suda is a smachta. It's not so clear. It's doraisa. It's not as strict as, right? We're not strict about the Suda as we are about Kiddush, right? Why is it that the
maybe you can answer it using the example that you gave before about candle?
Okay.
Maybe you can answer it similar to what you said before, or the example you gave before about candle lighting. Right. Candle lighting and kiddush, not for the reason you said before. You said maybe the mitzvah of candle lighting is to have candles lit, but no, maybe candle lighting and also kiddush are like the things that you do to like demarcate Shabbat from Friday. So that by definition happens kind of at the wherever it is that you will accept Shabbat. But if there is a mitzvah to eat Sudot Shabbat, maybe that's more similar to like on Leil HaSeder, where you need to fulfill the mitzvot on Leil HaSeder.
Yefeh. I'm not sure. I think that you kind of mixed the Maharal and the Eliyah Rabbah. So I'm going to read both of them, and then you'll tell us which one did you mean. I imagine you didn't read either one yet. But I want to read the Eliyah Rabbah first, because I used to think that the Maharal is not so interesting, the Eliyah Rabbah is the more interesting one. But now I think the opposite. So I'll start from the Eliyah Rabbah because I think he's less interesting. That way I'll keep awake in 3 minutes, because we'll go to the more interesting explanation. The Eliyah Rabbah says something that sounds very technical, right? The source, how do we know we need to have 3 Sudot b'Shabbat? It says Hayom 3 times. Which I think sounds like one aspect that Yaakov was saying, that it just says Hayom. Now, it could be read as something fairly technical, that it says Hayom. So you have to do it when it's really Shabbat, when I'd say on Saturday, not on Shabbos, right? Shabbos could be extended into Friday, but it's not Saturday yet, right? Saturday, I'm using the Goyish term, as it were, just to emphasize that I'm talking about the objective time, I'd say, not the subjective, what time can I sanctify, as it were, right? Now, so I think there's something more fundamental than that, because you can say it's fairly technical. All right, there's a limud, and the limud tells you have to. I think he's saying something more interesting than that. Here's the thing. The Torah tells us you have to do something new on Shabbos. You have to have 3 Sudot on Shabbos. Normally, maybe you'd have only 2 Sudot a day. No, on Shabbos you have to have 3 Sudot, right? Now, I'll use one of my father's vorts, just to help us. So last week I used my father's vort, quote Zohar. This time just his own vort, right? We have 3. Why do we have to have 3 regalim, right? We have 3 regalim. Each of them is unique. How are they unique? On Sukkot you can eat whatever you want and as much as you want, but not wherever you want, right? You have to eat in a sukkah. On Pesach, you can eat wherever you want and as much as you want, but you can't eat whatever you want. You can't eat chametz. On Shavuot, you can eat wherever you want and whatever you want, right? Whatever you want and wherever you want, and not as much as you want. Why not? Did I lose you guys? No.
hear you.
Do you hear me?
We missed the punchline.
Oi. So again, oi. I don't know. I lost. Wait.
Then rabbis tell jokes.
Still can't hear you.
And you're mute, Rav B'Tselem.
Do you hear me?
There you are.
There I am.
Yeah, we're up to Shabbat.
This always happens when you try to tell like a joke or something. We
I
always
know.
lose you
I
at the
think,
punchline.
I think my Zoom has a sensor that knows when I'm being Mevatel Torah. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm saying Nourishkeit, it just says, you're not, maybe, or the truth is I'm on Rav Carmel's user. So maybe Rav Carmel has an automatic thing, right? Rav Carmel says my Zoom is Kodesh le Kodesh, right? No Nourishkeit on my Zoom. So if you use the Zoom for Nourishkeit, it's not, it doesn't work. All right, so we're gonna try again. We'll try again anyway. Let's see what happens this time.
But the Gemara says in a drasha with a bit of humor.
Nachon. So maybe it's because I didn't kick off the drasha. We're 45 minutes in already. We're 45 minutes in already, and I haven't said any jokes. It's not lo beseder. So, right.
Maybe
so
this is all the petition, and now you can get into it.
Right. So saying we were warming up. Now we can really get in after we say the. So, again, Sukkot. Why do you have to have 3 regalim? Because they're each unique in their eating. Right. We know eating is a very important thing in Yiddishkeit in general. Right. So we're talking about Sudat Shabbat here. Eating is a very important thing in Yiddishkeit. So you need 3 chagim. Why? Because Sukkot, you can eat whatever you want and as much as you want, but not wherever you want. You have to eat in the sukkah. Pesach, you can eat wherever you want and as much as you want. You can't eat whatever you want. You have to eat matzah, right? Not chametz, at least, right? On Shavuot, you can eat whatever you want and wherever you want, but not as much as you want. Why not? Because it's only one day. Right? So, so how much can you eat in one day? Why am I saying this? Because if you have a full week, it's not so hard to get 15 Sudot in if you have a full week, right? The longer the time period, the more Sudot you can fit in. So if you say, well, I'll mekabel Shabbat at Chatzot on Friday, and then I'm going to do this new thing called having 3 Sudot, we'll say, hold on, that's not much of a chidush. If Shabbos is 40 hours long, of course you're going to have 3 Sudot. The chidush is 3 Sudot in the most limited time frame that could be defined as Shabbat. Otherwise, it's not a chidush, right? There's no chachma in having an extra Sudah if you have an extra few hours. The chachma is you're adding Sudot despite having a shorter time frame. So I think that's the deeper pshat in the Eliyah Rabbah when you say the limud of Hayom means the whole point of having more Sudot is saying I have this specific time frame, and despite having the specific time frame and not an extended one, I'm fitting more Sudot in. Then I'm Mechabed Shabbat adding Sudot. If you have another 48 hours, so of course you have more Sudot. So that's what I want to say about the Eliyah Rabbah. Now let's go to the Bach. The Bach says something that I thought was more technical, but I like him more now. I did not like him more. Now I think I appreciated what he said a bit more. And I think this is what Yaakov, I thought this was what Yaakov was saying. I thought Yaakov started off with the Maharal and ended up with Eliyah Rabbah. The second part of what Yaakov said sounds to me very much like the Eliyah Rabbah. But I think he started off with the Bach. And there's a bit of a, what we call a Punkt Verkehr here, right? We think that, right, intuitively, I thought, before I learned this, well, Birkat Mekadesh Shabbat is something that's uniquely Shabbos. So you say Birkat Mekadesh Shabbat at Ma'ariv, you say Birkat Mekadesh Shabbat at Kiddush. So these are things that are uniquely Shabbos. If you can do them on Friday, of course you can also have the Suda on Friday, right? But in a way, it's exactly the other way around. When I daven the Shabbos davening on Friday, clearly what am I doing? I'm davening Shabbos davening. There's no other way of looking at it, right? It's obviously Shabbos davening because I'm saying Kadesh Shabbat. There's no other way of looking at the prayer but as a Shabbos prayer. Same for Kiddush. I can't be making the Friday Kiddush because there's no such thing as a Friday Kiddush. It must be the Shabbos Kiddush. I also say Kadesh Shabbat. It's clearly and uniquely Shabbos. Yaakov added also candlelight. There's no Friday candle lighting. Candle lighting is something that's uniquely Shabbosdik. So if I'm adding lights for Shabbat, and I say the bracha of lahadlik ner shel Shabbat, right? So that's something that's uniquely Shabbosdik, and therefore clearly I can do that in the Tosefet time. What about the Seudah? Seudah, I just say hamotzi and I eat bread, and I eat meat. There's nothing uniquely Shabbosdik about it. What makes it uniquely Shabbosdik is the fact that I do it on Shabbat. You see the problem? It's the other way around, right? I was saying before, well, why can you say Mekadesh Shabbat only on Shabbos, right? No, you can say Mekadesh Shabbat on Friday. That's the Chiddush. Besides, if you say Mekadesh Shabbat on Friday, so you said Mekadesh Shabbat, and obviously you turn Shabbat into something that's more extended. So it's obviously you're making the Kiddush as part of the extension. What about the Seudah? Maybe you're just hungry. How do I know it's Shabbos? It's the Shabbos Seudah. The only way to know it's Shabbos Seudah is if it happens on Shabbos, because you don't make any special bracha for the Seudah. So that's, I think those are the two central svarot. Why do you have to eat another kazait after Tzedek Chavim if you make Shabbat early? Again, lahalacha, I'll just say lahalacha, the poskim say you should make sure to eat another kazait after. In Kvar, I told you the story that I used to go to the Sikha and the Yeshiva, and after my Sudat Shabbat, right? I had my Sudat Shabbat. After Sudat Shabbat, go to the Sikha and the Yeshiva and daven Ma'ariv with them as well. I'd come home and wash again, right? To Yotzei this. No big deal. Just have a kazait, not, etc. But so Mishnah Berurah says it's best to have another kazait. Most people can cope with eating another kazait. It's hard to be Jewish, but sometimes eating another kazait of bread really could be another good chumrah. The two central svarot, I think, one is Eliyahu Rabbah, again, brings a limud, but I think the depth of the limud, it has to be done during that specific time frame. Otherwise, it doesn't really count. It doesn't really, it's right. It's not, I'd say, the Israelis would say, lo chokhmah, to add another seudah if you have a more extended time frame. And the Maharal, who says there's nothing uniquely Shabbosdik about the seudah unless you do it on Shabbos.